Okay, we're given a rational function in this example. We want to identify the restrictions and then identify the domain. So as we're thinking about the restrictions, these are the values of x that we're not allowed to plug in. In this case, because we have a rational function, we're not allowed to divide by 0. All right, so dividing by 0 is whenever the denominator here would equal 0. So we want to identify any values of x that would make the denominator equal 0. Because it's already factored, we can think to ourselves one factor at a time, what would I need to plug in for each x to make each individual factor equal 0? So on the first factor, we don't want to plug in a positive 5, because if we replace the x with a positive 5, 5 minus 5 makes 0, and then multiplied by the entire rest of the entire denominator would be 0. Similarly, with our second factor here, we don't want to plug in a negative 1 for the x. Now this is equivalent to saying x minus 5, when does that equal 0? And then adding 5, solving this down. So if you had more difficult looking factors, instead of just x minus 5 or x plus 1, if it was say 2x plus 1, you may want to set them equal to 0 and solve down. And I should probably say not equal to. All right, so the restrictions are you don't want to plug in 5, you don't want to plug in negative 1. Now as we think about what's the domain then, let's set this up as a number line initially. So the domain can be anything except for negative 1 and 5. So that means we're going to leave these two values out. Don't want to plug in a negative 1, don't want to plug in a 5. So on a graph, this would look like open circles at each one of those, and then we would shade everything to the left, everything in the middle would be okay, and everything to the right. Because we're allowed to plug in any of those other values as long as you're not dividing by 0. Now, you probably want to know interval notation on this also. So we actually have 3 separate intervals that we've graphed for our solution set. The first one goes from negative infinity to negative 1. We're going to leave out negative infinity because we can never get there, so a parenthesis on that side, and a parenthesis on negative 1 side because we don't want that to be included either. I'm going to use a union symbol in between. The next interval goes from negative 1 with a parenthesis to 5, again leaving out negative 1 and leaving out 5, and one more union symbol, one more 5 to infinity for our final interval. We can never get to infinity, and we're going to leave 5 out. All right, hope this helps out as you're working on identifying restrictions and domains for rational functions. Good luck.